Welcome back to Tam. Today we're making, oh my goodness, chicken with mushrooms. This is a double recipe of one of my favorite recipes. And before we get started, let me just say, truth here is that there's a lot of work involved. None of it is hard, but there's steps upon steps because what we're doing is we're building flavor. One flavor layered over another flavor. It's what brings our cooking to life. It's extraordinary. And I can't wait to show you how I do it with this dish. And hopefully you'll learn tips for future dishes. It's all about building flavor. Flavor is king. So let's get started with our chicken and mushrooms right now. Let's get on with making our chicken and mushrooms. Now this step is labor intensive. It's in no way difficult, but it does take time browning the chicken. I do this in a lot of recipes, and as time consuming as it is totally worth it. Trust me, it adds a tremendous amount of flavor, and it's the easiest way of building flavor without having to add in something new. So what I have here is 2 whole chickens, which I've cut up, and I've seasoned the outside with salt and pepper. So I'm just putting them in a pan to brown, trying very hard not to crowd them. If we crowd the pan, then they're actually not gonna brown. They're gonna steam, and you get a rubbery color, not golden, like amazing brown. So it needs about 5 to 6 minutes. Definitely on the skin side, and on the leg, it's going to need it on both sides since there's skin on both sides. We want to get that skin golden brown. There's this awesome reaction happening when you are able to brown food. It caramelizes it. It is so good. So that is step 1. While I brown my chicken, which does take time because I have a lot of chicken and not a very big pan, I'm going to start preparing all the vegetables. So much going on here. It's been a crazy prep. I'll tell you why. Firstly, check out the brown chicken. So it's all been beautifully browned on the outside. And what's at the bottom of my pot, if you could see, all those brown bits are more flavor. This is awesome flavor going on here. So I'm going to take all the chicken out. If I had more than 2 tablespoons of fat at the bottom of the pan, I would course them out, but I'm eyeballing it. It looks like about 2 tablespoons. So I'm going to saute 2 shallots in it. I know that looks like a heck of a lot more than 2. This is 1 very large shallot, and I'm doubling the recipe, so 2 of these chopped up. So these are going in, and I'm going to scrape at the brown bits on the bottom as I saute the shallot. If you can't get a hold of shallots, onions plus garlic together will give you a very similar flavor. So we're gonna cook these until they're softened and starting to turn golden. My shallots are gorgeous, golden, they're softened, so I'm ready to add my mushrooms. What I have here is 400 grams of mushrooms. I know I'm doubling the recipe, but I just forgot to buy more mushrooms. So those are gonna go in, and they're gonna cook for about 8 minutes until they've shrunk down completely and are cooked through. So mushrooms now cooking along with the shallots, and it's all coming together. Our mushrooms are brown, they're cooked, they're beautiful. Now we're gonna add alcohol. And I know this seems like a lot of work, but what we're doing is we're building flavor on flavor on flavor. And Pesach food really is limited. So the ability to build flavor, this is what's gonna work for your food and make it absolutely delicious. So I have 2 different alcohols here. I've got Sliverbits, which is plum brandy. My recipe calls for brandy. This is what we have at home. I actually grew up watching my Saba drink this every morning. He'd have a little shot. So our 6 tablespoons, because I'm doubling the recipe, are going in there, along with 1 cup of white wine, again, because I'm doubling my recipe, and I'm going to use this to deglaze the pan, which means to really scratch at all the brown bits on the bottom of the pan, and that is just awesome, awesome flavor. I'm gonna let it come to the boil and boil off some of this alcohol. I'm already feeling it. Just to make you guys laugh, someone gave us this bottle of wine. It's called Unorthodox. How funny is that? All right, so we are going to let the alcohol boil off, and we are doing an awesome job building flavor. Yes, it's work. It's just one step after another. None of it is hard, but it is time consuming. And sometimes when we go for those super easy, just chuck it all in recipes, those work. They're delicious, and sometimes we want to get like stuck in there and really give the care and attention to every single step. That's one of these recipes. Every step needs our attention, and it's totally worth it for the end product. Our alcohol has boiled off, and oh boy, do I feel it. So I'm gonna add to this 1 liter of chicken soup stock, going right in there, and 1 can, 800 grams of chopped tomatoes, also going in there. And a funny Pesach story coming up right now. What happens when your can opener breaks and you need to get into a can of tomatoes? You use this guy. And let me just show you what happened to the can of tomatoes. Check that out. Yes, industrious, that's me. All right, I'm gonna let this mix come to a boil and let it cook together for about 10 minutes. Again, it's just layer after layer of flavor. It is so worth it. This is what chefs do. They season well and they layer flavors. This is what's gonna take your cooking that extra level up. So we're gonna mix this together and let it cook for about 10 minutes. Our sauce has been cooking for 10 minutes. You can see all the steam coming up. Generally, I would do this in a pot. I would add the chicken and the sauce into a pot and let it cook for an extra 35 minutes. But every single burner in this house is taken, every single pot. So I'm actually gonna put the sauce on top of the chicken in the tin and into the oven. It's gonna be the same thing. I'm gonna cover it. It's gonna cook for about 35, maybe 40 minutes because the chicken's gotten really cold while it waited for the sauce to cook. So into the oven, it's gonna go, do this whole, without making too much of a mess. Sauce on chicken, chicken in oven. All right, there is my chicken and sauce. My oven is set at 180 degrees Celsius, 350 Fahrenheit. I'm gonna start at 35 minutes and see how I go. Our chicken with mushrooms is out of the oven. It is so extraordinary. Just let me show you. Oh my goodness, so heavy. But look at that. How awesome does that look? So this is done. It's a few hours before Shabbat and Chag. So I'm gonna just let it rest. I'll reheat it. And when I serve it, I'm gonna sprinkle some fresh parsley and fresh tarragon on top. So incredibly delicious. I am so excited. So wherever you are, whomever you're with, whatever you're doing, wishing you a Shabbat Shalom and a Chag Sameach. And I can't wait to see you on the other side. So for now, flavor is king. Judaism is amazing. And who doesn't like chicken with mushrooms? See you all soon.